talk about competitive bodybuilding. Now, I know that this life is really an open life, and it's and this life here will still be an open life. And so, though I'm talking about competitive bodybuilding, I'm still open to questions. Still open to general questions on nutrition and exercise and fitness. But before I start, this video is not meant for recommendation or advice. This video is meant strictly for educational purposes only. So the thing with competitive bodybuilding is that, first of all, it's many view it as not a sport. And if you look at what are the characteristics of sports, is that you have to train for it, right? You have to train, you have to practice, and that it contains some skills. That skills are involved. So bodybuilding, of course, competitive bodybuilding specifically, definitely you have to train for it. Skills, yes, the posing takes skill, does take skill, the, but not just the posing, but the breathing control. You have to be able to breathe properly and control your breathing. It's interestingly enough, might be able to be compared to acting because when you speak in acting, you have to be able to control the tone of your voice. And one of the methods the actors that I know that I've heard is that they control their breathing. So in bodybuilding, it's the same. If you do not control your breathing, you 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 cannot control the contraction of your diaphragm, of your internal core muscles. You cannot you cannot control and coordinate your body. Now you may ask, what does coordination have to do with flexing your muscle? It has everything to do with flexing your muscles because on stage you're required to flex all your muscles together simultaneously at the same intensity in a balanced way to show and position your your body in a balanced way to maintain a good and demonstrate a good alignment, an ideal, not just a good alignment, but the ideal. Remember, on a bodybuilding stage, they are looking for the ideal body, not just any body, so to speak. They are looking for the ideal body. So therefore, that also involves ideal posture, ideal movement. So you've seen people do what they they're facing forward and then they have to face sideways and then they turn their face back. The judge is looking how you do that, how you perform that. If you're clumsy and you trip over your feet or you do it in a hesitating manner, they're taking out away points. Now, a lot of people are not aware of these things, but it's true because I was on the stage and I know. And as far as contracting all your muscles simultaneously, see what happens is that when you do not start contracting your muscles from the calves, from the lower leg up to the upper legs and up to the abdominals and then the upper body. In that sequence, you can't do it. You can't just like reset and just start trying to like contract all the muscles in a coordinated way. If you don't do it in the right way to start with, you can't regroup and you're only up there, each pulse, you're only up there like maybe 14 seconds. So if you start to like hesitate, before you know it, they ask you to change poses and it's over. You're done. Goodbye. Till next year. It's very, very hard to contract your abdominals and your legs simultaneously while maintaining your breathing. Try it and try it as hard as you can. So, what I mean is, when you're standing, you try to contract your thighs in such a manner that all the muscles in your thighs are standing out, but simultaneously contract your abdominals so hard that all the muscles in your abdominals are simultaneously also standing out. And then add to that, simultaneously contract your chest, your legs, your arms. And it's not just that simple. You also have to be paying attention, looking ahead to the judges, letting them know that that you are flexing, that you're posing for them, that you're not just caught up in your own little world. Oh yeah, presentation counts a lot. Hey, how you doing? Thank you very much. Oh, Bear, thank you very much. Hey, thank you for dropping into this live. So I don't have to be alone. And I really appreciate you being here. I really do. Yeah, how was your evening? I hope you're having a wonderful evening. It's Monday, a wonderful Monday, and really the start of a hopefully a wonderful November. So getting back to competitive bodybuilding, so the co- the skill of coordinating the contraction of all the muscles simultaneously in and of itself is a skill. It's not something, if anyone tries it without practice, they're going to quickly see that it requires practice. So therefore, it is a skill. It can be defined and falls under the category of a skill. So that's another thing. Now, another thing about competitive bodybuilding is that many people, you know, look at, you know, competitors as like, oh, well, this is, hey, how you doing, Uriel? Good evening to you. Many people say, oh, I can never be like that, or those guys, they must do something magical. I can't get muscles like that because they must be using some kind of magic method. You know, when I was a kid, I used to buy these comic books, and on the back of the comic books, they had the guy named Charles Atlas, and he had a method called dynamic tension, and it worked. Yeah, the dynamic tension, it worked. You know why? Because he worked at it. It was something that he had to work. It wasn't magic. It was based on flexing your muscles harder and harder each time you practice. And if you can't do it each time you practice, you build up to it. Because that is the basic principle of bodybuilding exercise. You it's called progressive resistance. You progress the resistance. You're not trying to like lift everything you can all at once. It's something, and I'm not going to say the name, but what I'm going to do right now describes it. you can't, you can't just knock yourself with all the weight all at once. That's like, you know, that's not progressive. You can't just listen. You can't take the weight of the world on your shoulder, right? All at once. Even ants, they start off picking up something smaller and then something bigger and then something bigger. That's how it works. Progressive resistance. So there's no magic to build big muscles. There's no magic. You just start out and you build up gradually. You listen at the same time you listen to your body. Perhaps it needs a different type of exercise than you've seen in the magazine. So then you have to research and you have to choose. Maybe, you know, you say, oh, I have narrow shoulders and I'm never going to be that wide. But then you start to select an exercise that builds your rear deltoids, your side deltoids to make it look like your shoulders are rounder. You start to practice exercises that expand your rib cage. Now you could just inhale and make yourself expand your ribs and your shoulders. My favorite winter activity. That's a good question. And I can easily answer that by saying walking. Walking. Wow. All those zeros. I still see two zeros. But anyway, speaking seriously, yeah, walking. I love to walk in the wintertime. And I like it when the sun, it, the sun is hitting me while even though it's cold, it feels like a warmth radiating on top of me. It's really good. And it goes in others. Still two zeros. So anyway, here's the thing that I like walking in the winter. Yeah, that's one of my favorite activities. What else I like to do? I'm going to be honest. I like to kind of contradict myself because I like to stay home and I like to work out at home in the wintertime. But I also like to, you know, walk outside, especially when it's snowing. Yeah, I like to do things outside because when I grew up as a kid in the park, next to a park, and I used to spend the whole day in the park, even in the wintertime, you know. Um, as far as walking in the winter, I prefer to do the walking in the country. It feels so much different walking in the country in the winter than it does in the city. But you feel the cold when you walk in the city. I could feel the cold. When I used to live in the city, I feel the cold concrete underneath my feet. The blast of air just came out of nowhere. Not as much sunshine. I don't enjoy it as much as being in the country. The sunshine hits you. The sunshine, you could see the sky. You could walk on the grass where it's much softer. You could smell the grass and fresh air and see the beautiful sights. So, yeah, walking in, I feel very fortunate that four zeros. All right. Now, I dream of more. I dream of Jeannie and with the light brown hair. You ever seen a program, Jeannie? She's the bing, bing, and she can make miracles appear. More zeros anyway. So competitive bodybuilding, is a skill and exercise. There's no magic pill to get a good body. Like I get abdominals because even though I had a big belly at one time and I used to eat a lot, I used to go to, I wanted to buy some burgers one time and the lady in the counter said, "You don't need to eat any more burgers. Why are you buying a burger? Look at you. You, you are a burger. You're the biggest burger I've ever seen." She told me that. So you know what I did? I said, okay, I'm not coming in here anymore. I'm going to GNC. I went to GNC, I bought a protein bar, and I started doing pull-ups. In 6 months, I no longer looked big and fat. I had a trim body and wide, muscular shoulders and arms. And people would say, "That's not, how did he do it? It must have been magic." There was no magic. I just did it ev- 3 times a week and I walked a lot and I stuck to the plan. I did a little bit more each time. No secret, no magic pill, no magic. Just work, progressively worked a little bit more in some way. Okay. And it wasn't easy. I didn't just start doing more and more. It was hard. If I can only do 3 pull-ups, it's okay. So I did 3 pull-ups, I rested, and then I did 2, I did 1, and I continued, I stuck with it. And in 6 months, I got stronger because I worked at it. There's no magic in competitive bodybuilding, but that's how I started. I was far from a bodybuilder, and I wasn't lifting weights. I was just doing pull-ups and push-ups at home, plus walking. So, how did I get the abdominals afterwards? Well, it was hard because I had a bad accident that hurt my back, so I couldn't do the crunches, and it would hurt my neck. So I just did like bent knee raises, which was one of my favorite exercise. And still, the bent knee raises is still one of my favorite exercise. The only difference is back then I did it lying on the ground. Now I do it hanging, which is much more difficult. Hanging from a strap, as you see on my channel. If you see my channel, I put my elbows inside of a strap and I hang from a strap and I lift my knees up and down. And that's one of my favorite exercises for my abdominals, and I hold it responsible for developing my abdominals. But it's not easy because I couldn't do many repetitions at first. I did it in a progressive method, using a progressive method, starting with the easy way, lying on my back on the floor, lifting the knees together, lifting the knees one at a time. And then I got good. I could lift both legs without bending the knees, which let me know I was getting better. So it's a progressive method, doing easy exercise, a little bit more difficult each time till you get stronger, till the body recognizes one thing. It doesn't matter, the body and the muscles don't recognize magic, they recognize effort. So in bodybuilding, the guy who puts out more effort wins. You're looking at proof of that because I won 8 times, and I was the burger. I was the guy who walked in the burger place, and they used to call me Burger, Burger, because I was big and fat. I was 37 years old. Nobody in their right mind would have said I would win a bodybuilding contest. Nobody. Not even myself. I said, no. But I dreamed about it. In my head, I had this vision that one day I'd be, standing on a stage and I'll be receiving a trophy. But it was all in my head because that kept me applying and putting out effort into what I did. Because I realized that if I put out more effort and while I'm thinking of that fantasy of being on stage, I will get closer. Even maybe if it's miles away, not close, even if it's just by a little millimeter, getting a millimeter close to your dream. And this doesn't have to be bodybuilding, this is about in life. You believe in yourself, and you put out effort each time to get 1 millimeter closer to your dream. You will get there. Trust me, you will get there. And there's no magic. But you create the magic. You create it. Because the magic, if there is, it's a special magic that's in the video that you create. It's not a magic that you get somewhere that you find, that you could put in your pocket and say, okay, I have magic, it's going to work for me. You have to make it. You have to make it, believe me. So, I just love, love, it has a lot to do with it. It's all in you. Capability So you create whatever you want to create. And this is very, very true. Very true. So, like this is partly, why I never thought I would, you know, win a bodybuilding competition 8 times. Your go-to doodle. What is that? What is that? Try to, I don't know, add a Q&A sticker. Anyway, so yeah, but sometimes I'm exercising, I'm thinking to myself, wow, like look at all this I can do, but then I realize I can do more. Or why don't I just enjoy what I'm doing? Why do I have to do more actually? Actually, why do I have to do more? Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it and and re- and you'll get the most out of it and you'll be able to experience more. And when you experience more of, I'll experience more of what I'm doing and because it puts me in the moment and I'm not looking at what I've done, what I've accomplished. I'm not looking ahead what I want to accomplish. I'm just enjoying the moment when I work out. And this doesn't only apply to working out, it applies to anything that you do in life. So, and you know what? That that after all is a type of magic that again only you can create. So all the zeros in the world are not as valuable as the value you have in your heart. So here, I wish everybody a wonderful week.